Hello everyone, and welcome to Zoom in China. Today we will talk about the ending of the former vice chairman of the CCP, Zhu De. In the history of CCP, the Zhu in Zhu Mao refers to Zhu De, who was regarded by the CCP as one of the main founders and leaders of the Chinese Communist Army and the Chinese Communist State, as well as one of the early leaders of the CCP. Both of his qualifications and reputation were higher than Mao's in the Chinese Communist Army during the early stage. It is a little known fact that when Zhu De studied in Germany in his early years, he secretly joined the CCP as a member of the Kuomintang and set a precedent for acceptance of secret members by the CCP. He was therefore deported by the German authorities for his activities in the Communist Party, and his eventual ending as work for the CCP proved that he has chosen a path that was harmful to others and himself. In 1886, Zhu De was born in a farming family in Yilong County, Sichuan Province. He was chosen to be sent to a private school in his early years, and then enrolled in a high school to study physical education in Chengdu. After graduation, he returned to his hometown to become an elementary school gym instructor. In 1909, Zhu enrolled in the Yunnan Military Academy sponsored by General Cai E at the age of 23, and he joined the Tomenhui at this time. From then on, Zhu De began his military career and participated in the Revolutionary War of 1911, National Protection War and Constitutional Protection Movement. Due to his military service, he was promoted to Major General and Brigadier General and was transferred to the Kuomintang Party with the Yunnan Tomenhui. In 1921, he was promoted to Chief of Yunnan Provincial Police Department and Military Commander. After that, he fought in many warlord battles before leaving the military to avoid being hunted. Influenced by the October Revolution and the May 4th movement, Zhu went to Shanghai to meet with Chen Duxiu, who was the early founder of the CCP. He attempted to join the CCP but was rejected for being a warlord. Zhu De then decided to go to France. At that time, the European branch of the CCP had already been established in France and headed by Zhou Enlai and Zhang Shengfu. After arriving in France, Zhu De heard that Zhou and Zhang had gone to Germany already, so he immediately went to Germany. After meeting with Zhou Enlai, he recounted his life experience and expressed his wish to join the CCP. With the introduction of Zhou and Zhang, Zhu De joined the CCP and became a member of the German branch of CCP. But his party membership was kept secret from the public, and he remained a member of the Kuomintang until the Nanchang Uprising in 1927. It is now known that Zhu De was the first secret member of the CCP and precedented the absorption of secret members into the CCP. Since then, the CCP has developed a number of secret members and special members in order to grow and develop, such as Zhang Xueliang, who launched the Xi'an military coup. This practice of splitting personalities had become an important way for the CCP to defeat the Kuomintang, to play the West and to infiltrate the West even today. After joining the CCP, Zhu De entered the University of Göttingen in Germany to study sociology in order to facilitate his work for the CCP. The University of Göttingen archives cite in rare stories from the early years of the CCP aboard, shows that Zhu De and other Chinese students applied to the German police to march and distribute leaflets entitled "What's Happening in China." The archives also show that Publication Star founded by Zhu De promoted Chinese communist ideas to international students. According to a report of an investigation by the Peruvian government's home office in the German archives, a group of Chinese students held an event at the Tiananmen Hotel on September 12, 1925, stating that the student union should serve communists as a goal and emphasizing that the Chinese should see Britain as the main enemy. It was Zhu De who organized this protest, and he later organized a larger anti-imperialist party. The German police arrived and arrested the Chinese students, including Zhu De. 3 days later, Zhu De and the others were released, but at the same time, their passports were revoked and deported by the German government. After being deported, Zhu De went to the Soviet Union, where he studied Marx and Lenin at the Moscow Oriental University, and then attended a military training course to learn modern military affairs. Zhu De returned to China in 1926 and served in the National Revolutionary Army, where he followed the orders of the CCP and secretly obstructed Chiang Kai-shek's proposed Northern Expeditionary War to unify the country, and quietly helped the Chinese Communist armed forces. In 1927, the CCP launched the Nanchang Riot, of which Zhu De was one of the leaders. After the failure of the riot, he led the remains of his troop to rendezvous with Mao at Jinggang Mountain. During the Civil War, Zhu De was appointed by Mao as the commander-in-chief of the army. After the CCP established, Zhu De served as vice chairman of the state, vice chairman of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, and chairman of the National People's Congress. It is reasonable to say that Zhu De had made a great contribution to the establishment of the CCP and should be able to enjoy his old age comfortably. However, he was criticized by Mao for affirming the positive side of Peng Dehua at the 1959 Lushan Conference. After the outbreak of the Cultural Revolution in 1966, when he saw many officials being beaten down, Zhu De often sat alone and rarely spoke. Soon, he was also beaten down, and large slogans calling him a big warlord, a big ambitious man, and an evil commander were posted on the streets of Beijing and Zhongnanhai. His documents were suspended, his healthcare provider was transferred, and his movements were restricted. Zhu De was also ordered to give an account of his crimes against Mao, and his wife Kang Keqing was also criticized and struggled. In the archives of the Central Committee of the CCP, there is a document labeled 19660523, which records the minutes of a meeting held in May 23, 1966, about the severe criticism of Zhu De. The venue was the Hebei Hall of the Great Hall of the People, and the moderator was Liu Shaoqi. At the criticism meeting, Lin Biao criticized Zhu De as ambitious, saying that he did not obey Mao and wanted to be the leader. Zhongnanhai criticized Zhu De as unreliable and a time bomb in the standing committee. Chen Yi criticized him for wanting to stage a coup, and strong ambitious, Bo Yibo criticized him for saying things like, since ancient times, people who are politically unhappy have had to plant orchids. Zhu De felt helpless for these criticisms, saying that if I am ambitious, I am 80 years old, need someone's pull to climb slopes and walk. Even talk about doing something, I cannot even manage a thing, not to mention the dream of becoming emperor. More ironically, Liu Shaoqi was the host of the criticism session, and he could never have imagined that he would be criticized more severely and persecuted to death 3 years later in 1969. Lin Biao, who denounced Zhu De desired to be a leader, fell to his death in a plane crash together with his wife and son in September 1971. Zhou Enlai, who said Zhu De was a time bomb, died 6 months before Zhu De. Chen Yi, who criticized Zhu De for wanting to be the emperor, died in January 1971. Bo Yibo, who said in a strange way that Zhu De was raising orchids at home to vent his political discontent, lived longer than they did. But his most favorite son, Bo Xilai, has been in prison for his whole life. His grandson went to exile overseas, and the Bo family completely collapsed and lost power. In retrospect, the meeting in May 1966 to criticize Zhu De was in fact conducted at the behest of Mao to warn the participants that even a veteran marshal like Zhu De must be obedient and must not become a stumbling block during the Cultural Revolution. In this criticism meeting, the ugly faces of the Politburo members and Standing Committee members in Zhongnanhai were throwing stones at their close comrades in order to protect themselves. They themselves eventually became the stumbling blocks of Mao's Cultural Revolution and were criticized, and all had the same miserable ending, except for Bo Yibo. The above-mentioned people all died during the Cultural Revolution. Some of the old military leaders of the CCP criticized the Cultural Revolution in 1967 and were branded by Mao as a February countercurrent. They were all suppressed and persecuted in varying degrees. In October 1968, at the 12th plenary session of the 8th CCP Central Committee, Zhu De was attacked by Wu Faxian and Chang Chunqiao for defending the February countercurrent, saying that he was constantly opposed to Chairman Mao and big ambitions and want to be the emperor. Xie Fuzhi also said that Zhu De had opposed Mao from the first day he went to Jinggang Mountain. Zhu De was very precarious. Later, Zhu De was saved from the struggle session because Mao mentioned in the meeting Zhu and Mao, inseparable, but was included in the category of having mistakes or historical needs to be examined. In 1969, Zhu De was put in the struggle session several times at the 9th Congress of the CCP. In October, Zhu De, who was over 80 years old, was sent down to Guangzhou with Kang Keqi's company due to the army's emergency war preparations. He did not return to Beijing until August of the following year, and his death was deteriorating as a result of depression. Zhongnanhai died in January 1976, and by then, Zhu De was even weaker. Official sources say that on June 21st, he unexpectedly caught a cold, and on July 1st, his condition deteriorated sharply with high fever and several diseases, and he could hardly even speak. On the 6th, Zhu De passed away at the age of 90. However, the oral history of Zhou Binhai's interview with Zhu De's only son Zhu Qi's wife, Zhao Liping, who was over 80 years old, was published on Tongzhou Gongji magazine in issue 7, 2012, inferring that Zhu De might have been intentionally killed by the delay in medical treatment. According to Zhao Liping's recollection, after Zhu De and Kang Keqin returned to Beijing in 1970, they lived in the new 6th house on Wanshou Road and never returned to their residence in Zhongnanhai. Since all the secretaries around Zhu De were expelled or knocked down, the CCP reassigned staff to him. The first time Zhao Liping and Zhu Qi visited them at the new 6th house, they brought several big character posters to show them, and just opened their mouths and said, "When you were in Guangdong, you heard that." Before finishing the sentence, Kang Keqi stopped her and whispered in her ear and said, "Don't say too much. It's not good for anyone if you say too much." Only then did Zhao Liping understand that there were probably cameras spying on them in the house. What exactly did the Communist Party want to find out? On June 24, 1976, Zhu De was scheduled to meet with foreign guests. Because the meeting was postponed and no one told Zhu De, he stayed in the Code Assembly Hall for nearly an hour. Soon after he returned home, he felt unwell and caught a cold. The Central Committee of the CCP set up a medical team especially for Zhu De. At one point, Kang Keqi heard Liu Xiangping, a member of the medical team, ask the doctor in charge, how much longer can he live? The doctor said that he was being resuscitated anyway, and the situation was not good. Zhao Liping's daughter was a doctor. She brought up with her grandmother Kang Keqi, saying that the injection Zhu De is taking now may be unfavorable and may get worse as he takes more. Kang Keqi suggested the doctor to change the medicine, but they were not listening and saying that was the expert group's decision. Not long after that, Zhu De passed away. Also, according to overseas scholars Chen Pekong in the book Zhongnanhai Block School, disclosed that Zhu De suddenly became seriously ill and was urgently sent to the doctor at the night of the meeting with foreign guests. According to the usual practice, the doctor on duty needed to transfer the medical records of Zhu De from the Central Health Bureau. However, they were unable to transfer the medical records even though the situation was so urgent. It turned out that 2 days ago, Zhu De's medical records had been mysteriously transferred away. The condition of Zhu De then became heavier every day and died more than 10 days later. Afterwards, Zhu's family felt there was something fishy and asked for verification, but learned that the doctor on duty who treated Zhu De that night had suddenly died. Zhu De's wife Kang Keqi later said to everyone, "One day that Wang Dongxin doesn't speak, the truth will be delayed by a day." Wang Dongxin was a close friend of Mao Zedong and was the chief of security of the CCP Central Committee at that time. The Zhu family hinted that Zhu De died of murder. And the Hong Kong media's poisoning to silence was more shocking. It was reported that there was a rule at Zhu De's funeral that no one was allowed to remove the party flag covering his body. At that time, everyone, including Zhu De's family and friends, abided by this iron discipline, but only the commander of the Fuzhou military region, Lieutenant General Pi Dingjun, violated the rule. As a result, the exposed corpse of Zhu De was char black, and even his bare hands were char black, showing the classic signs of poisoning. The following day, Pi Dingjun died in an air crash. In addition to Zhu De's suspicious death, Zhu De's only son Zhu Qi was also persecuted during the Cultural Revolution and died in 1974 at the age of more than 50. His grandson, Zhou Guohua, was shot for hooliganism in 1983 during the strict crackdown campaign launched by Deng Xiaoping and died at the age of 25. Zhu De's death was a mystery, and his 3 generations have not ended well. Was it not the retribution of Zhu De for abandoning the Kuomintang and servicing for the Communist Party? One last thing. In the early 1950s, there was a chapter in the elementary school textbook called Zhu De's Carrying Pole, which was about Zhu De and Mao met at Jinggang Mountain in 1928. There was not enough food to eat, so they had to send someone to pick up food from Maping, which was about 50 to 60 miles round trip. At that time, it was very difficult to walk due to the mountain road, but it was important to fill the empty stomach, so Zhu De, who was the army commander, also picked food with the soldiers. Everyone looked heartbroken and hid his carrying pole. The first thing that happened was that Zhu De found another carrying pole and wrote, Zhu De's carrying pole in big letters, so everyone was embarrassed to hide their carrying pole anymore. However, after Zhu De was taken down, the same chapter was quietly changed to Lin Biao's carrying pole in February 1967, claiming that it was Lin Biao, not Zhu De, who took the remaining troops to Jinggang Mountain to join Mao after the failed Nanshan riot. In September 1971, after Lin Biao died in a plane crash, Lin Biao's carrying pole was quietly changed back to Zhu De's carrying pole. The CCP's ability to falsify the truth is truly mind-boggling. Well, that's it for today's story. If you like our program, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on Zoom in China.